Donald Trump is in full-fledged panic mode over Zoran Mamdani becoming mayor of New York. And now he's threatening the people of New York and trying to blackmail them into voting for Andrew Cuomo, the serial sexual harasser who lost the contest, of course, for the Democratic Party mayoral nomination back in June. Now, here is a striking example of how Donald Trump's Republicans are seeking to overturn US democracy, terribly flawed as it already was. He's posted this on his Tree Social website. Now, I'm afraid, guys, I can't really do let's call it an effective impression of the demagogic incumbent in the White House. One of my many flaws. Doesn't quite have the same impact in my faded northern lilt. Here goes. If communist candidate Zoran Mandani wins the election for mayor of New York City, it is highly unlikely that I will be contributing federal funds, other than the very minimum as required, to my beloved first home, because of the fact that as a communist, this once great city has zero chance of success or even survival. It can only get worse with a communist at the helm, and I don't want to send as President good money after bad. It is my obligation to run the nation, and it is my strong conviction that New York City will be a complete and total economic and social disaster should Mamdani win. His principles have been tested for over 1,000 years, and never once have they been successful. I would much rather see a Democrat who has had a record of success win than a communist with no experience and a record of complete and total failure. He was ranked as he was nothing as an assemblyman, ranked at the bottom of the class, and as mayor of potentially again the greatest city in the world, he has no chance to bring it back to its former glory. We must also remember this: a vote for Curtis Silwa, that's the Republican candidate, who looks much better without the beret. That's bollocks. He looks great with the beret. I'm not a fan of his, but he looks great with the beret. Anyway, whatever, is a vote for Mandani. Whether you personally like Andrew Cuomo or not, you really have no choice. You must vote for him and hope he does a fantastic job. He is capable of it. Mamdani is not. Now, we really shouldn't have to play this game. I do play this game quite a lot with you. I get that. But alas, given the dire timeline we're in, there's not really much choice. But we're going to have to do the whole let's imagine if. Just imagine this was a country in Africa or Asia or Latin America. Imagine an opposition politician was on the brink of winning the mayoralty of its most important city. Imagine the leader of the country on the eve of that election ordered his citizens not to vote for the candidate and threatened to withdraw funding for that city if they voted him or her in. How would that be portrayed? How would it rightly be understood? Would we consider that to be a democracy? Or would we correctly understand that as a signature hallmark of authoritarianism? Indeed, this intervention from Trump echoes what he said a few days ago on CBS's 60 Minutes.
Zoran Mandani, 34-year-old Democratic socialist. He's the
communist, not socialist, communist. He's far worse than a socialist.
Some people have compared him to a left-wing version of you, charismatic, breaking the old rules. What do you think about that?
Well, I think I'm a much better looking person than him, right?
But what if Mandani becomes mayor?
It's going to be hard for me as the president to give a lot of money to New York because if you have a communist running New York, all you're doing is wasting the money you're sending there. So I don't know that he's won, and I'm not a fan of Cuomo one way or the other, but if it's going to be between a bad Democrat and a communist, I'm going to pick the bad Democrat all the time, to be honest with you.
Well, I mean, first thing, we can all agree that Donald Trump is a real hottie, really blessed with those film star looks. Zoran Mandani could only dream of that chiseled jawline, defined cheekbones, and eyes you just want to take a swim in. Incidentally, Mandani was actually asked about this.
Assemblyman, any response to President Trump saying he was better looking than you?
What's the statement if you think... My focus is on the cost of living crisis, bro.
That is message discipline. Now, anyway, more to the point, this is, of course, gratuitous election interference from Donald J. Trump. As one US commentator points out, this would be immediately impeachable in any functioning democracy. This is actual election interference of the highest order, in addition to a blatant violation of the First Amendment rights of millions of people, both punishing speech and forcing compelled speech. There is far more of this, as I'll show, but let's just see how Andrew Cuomo reacted when Trump's endorsement was put to him.
Boy was just on 60 Minutes, Cuomo, saying that you're his guy.
No.
Trump said you're his candidate. If he had to pick a bad Democrat or what did he say? Or a communist. or a communist, he's picking you.
Hello?
I think that they cut him off. I think he had to rap.
You just get, oh. I really wanted to hear that answer. That's what I was going to ask you.
Ebro just got spicy.
Oh, just hangs up. Well, you probably can see why. Donald Trump's national approval rating at the moment, according to YouGov, is minus 18, with 39% approving and 57% disapproving, and it's minus 32 in New York City, according to the latest polling I could find. But the Republicans are whipping themselves into a frenzy over Mamdani. Listen to this from Randy Fine, the Florida Republican congressman, who is disgusting, a pro-Israel fanatic who has said many genocidal things. I did a whole video about Randy Fine, if you want to look it up, and the disgusting, vile, racist, genocidal hate that man has already exuded into the world. I'm sure that's the right word there, but anyway, just listen.
I've called for Zoran Mandani to be deported. The only thing I want to see him running for is his gate at JFK on the deportation flight to Uganda.
The descent into overt, unapologetic racism amongst the Republicans, of course, continues apace, as you can see. Randy Fine has joined forces with another Republican congressman, Tennessee's Andy Ogles, to push the federal Justice Department to investigate Mamdani's path to citizenship with the aim of stripping him of his US citizenship. He has joint American-Ugandan citizenship, and deporting him, which is, of course, what dictatorships do. They try and deport their opponents or imprison them. Ogles calls the New York Democratic mayoral candidate Zoran Little Mohammed Mandani. Now, Islamophobia, as I keep saying, is mainstream, respectable, acceptable, normalized across the Western world. It's everywhere. You know, you can say almost anything you want about Muslims. I mean, in the political, media worlds, rampant, normalized. Now, Ogles yesterday posted a New York Post article about his attempts to use the 14th Amendment to get Congress to ban Mamdani from office. This amendment bars someone from office if they have engaged in insurrection or rebellion or given aid or comfort to the enemies of the nation. A bit rich, given the Trumpian insurrection back in 2021, which attempted to overturn the presidential elections. Now, the grounds that Mandani spoken out against ICE, the US Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency, which has been weaponized by the Trump administration and is dragging people off the streets in a manner, again, you would expect in an authoritarian dictatorship, not an insurrection. Anyway, here's Mandani on the Trump endorsement.
We knew in the primary that Andrew Cuomo was being funded by the same billionaire donors that gave us Donald Trump's second term. I did not, however, anticipate Andrew Cuomo going from being Donald Trump's puppet to being so nakedly his parrot. What he has said in these last few days, these are words that should shock the conscience of New Yorkers. He has said that diversity is a weakness, while forgetting which black host of the TV show he was on he was actually speaking to. He has laughed and agreed when a radio show host said that I would cheer on another 9/11. He has stood alongside the current mayor of the city as that mayor said that he was endorsing Andrew Cuomo to stop a movement that was burning churches in Nigeria, to stop New York City from becoming Europe. And as Deputy Majority Leader Mike Giannaris said, for Andrew Cuomo's closing message to be a call for Republicans to support him, it shows what we have long known, but what he was able to hide while he was in Albany, which is that Andrew Cuomo is interested more in his own power than in living up to the ideals that make so many New Yorkers proud to be Democrats.
A really important point here is about how Andrew Cuomo has indulged Islamophobia. Because this isn't just a problem amongst the Republicans, but the Democratic establishment as well. And this already disgraced man has further disgraced himself with his disgusting campaign. Now, Elon Musk, the world's richest man, is using his control of X to feed users anti-Mamdani propaganda. People can see on their feeds, they log in, they just keep seeing anti-Mamdani stuff being pumped to them deliberately as a strategy by Elon Musk. He himself is using his platform to tell New Yorkers to vote for Cuomo. Indeed, it's been noted that Trump has used X's paid boost feature to spread his tweet, but has made sure it's an unmarked paid promotion. Again, just using, the power this wealthy man has in order to try and stop Mamdani. Now, it really is Mamdani's movement against the elite. The business titans throwing millions of dollars at anti-Mamdani campaigns include Michael Bloomberg, himself a former mayor who is worth $110 billion. The billionaire Airbnb co-founder Joe Gebbia, who serves under Donald Trump and smears Mamdani as a terrorist. The Texan Walmart heir Alice Walton. The obsessive anti-Mamdani hedge fund billionaire Bill Ackman. The delivery firm DoorDash. We could go on. Why are they so terrified of Mamdani? It is said that Trump and his crew want Mamdani to take the Democrats, for Democrats to lurch in that political direction, because that would make them too extreme for US voters, destroy the party, and ensure Republican hegemony. But if that's so, why go to such great efforts to stop Mamdani being elected mayor of New York City? The truth is, they see the sort of politics that Mamdani represents as a threat. Kamala Harris ran a so-called centrist corporate campaign in 2024, and she lost. What Mamdani has shown is how Democrats could attract actual enthusiasm. He has massively expanded the electorate. He's got people to register to vote, to come out and vote, who otherwise don't. With the biggest turnout ever for a mayoral election in New York City. It's going to break records. It is. It's already broken records. He's getting younger disillusioned citizens to come out and vote. That's what the Democrats need to do, instead of this strategy of the Democratic establishment, which is to offer nothing. No vision, nothing concrete and inspiring for people in an age of crisis, and just to roll over before Trump. Now, let's just look at this clip to see why the US elites are so rattled.
James Carville was here.
Okay.
And he's been a little bit more of, I think he would call himself a centrist.
Okay.
He said Zoran Mamdani is more on message than any candidate he's ever worked with. And he said, hands down, that's a positive trait.
Very kind of him.
So here's the test.
Oh, God.
How quickly can you go from this topic back to affordability?
Okay.
Halloween.
Here's the thing. You're seeing candy prices shoot up across New York City, and it's part of the fact that we're the most expensive city in the United States of America. We got to take a look at that.
The movie Godfather.
There are too many people who think that the only way they could afford to live in New York City is if their father already lived here. And the fact of the matter is, you should be able to afford your own apartment and not just have to pray to God to get there.
Incredible.
Right?
You got there.
Nice work. Not bad.
Lightning round is in a word or a sentence, but it's your mic. If you go longer, you go longer.
Okay,
You're a candidate. In a word or a sentence, I am a democratic socialist because
I believe in the dignity of all people.
I am the Democratic nominee for New York because
I beat Andrew Cuomo by 13 points.
A reason conservatives are welcome in your Democratic Party is
they also have to pay rent.
Something Democrats are right about.
That we have to take on an authoritarian administration in Washington, D.C.
Something Democrats have gotten wrong.
We need to bring back working people as the focus of our party.
All right, New York, shouldn't be hard for you. My bodega order is
egg and cheese on a roll with jalapenos.
Bagels or Bialys?
Bagels.
Sure.
Come on. Why would you?
I mean,
what are you doing?
My favorite subway line is?
For nostalgia, the 9 train.
Okay. And right now?
The N train.
Okay.
Hashtag never. R train, hashtag rarely.
You can call yourself a real New Yorker when?
You know what a bodega is.
Your favorite cannabis shop?
I would have to frequent them more often to have a favorite.
Okay, there we go. And a couple big picture ones.
Okay.
The biggest challenge facing America is?
A belief that politics could be more than this.
And facing New York?
That we could actually have a city that New Yorkers could afford.
The biggest challenge facing the Republican Party?
That their agenda is one that is deeply unpopular with Americans.
And the Democratic Party?
That we are missing an affirmative message in a moment when New Yorkers are crying out for it.
Final two. If I lose, it's because?
I didn't come on this show earlier.
If I win, it's because?
I came here with a few days left before Election Day.
Zoran Mamdani, you are very busy right now. Thank you for coming through.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
What he's done there is pitch radical politics in a way that is easily understood, funny, direct, relatable, inclusive. Mandani offers the left everywhere hope in an age of resurgent fascism. What he shows is that we can make unifying messages of economic and social justice our centerpiece without throwing minorities under a bus. That's a really crucial point. He's not done that at any point. Now, the right are using so-called culture wars to try and divide us, to try and divide the sorts of people who would support the left, people who are struggling, because they want people who are struggling to be angry, not at the elites who are actually responsible for the problems in society, but the X, Y, or Z vulnerable minority or minority that's also struggling and hasn't caused those problems. And the answer to that strategy isn't to surrender and start conceding ground to bigotry and prejudice, but to make sure that we focus on challenging an economic model rigged in favor of elites and against the majority, because that's what unites people most, irrespective of their gender, their ethnicity, their religion, their sexual identity or orientation, or indeed what they would call their political persuasion. I mean, you can hear there when Mandani's asked about conservatives voting for him, why should they do that? Because they have to pay the rent as well. That's why I'm so invested in talking about this campaign, because we all need to learn from it. But of course, there is a warning here, because the elites in the US will stop at nothing to destroy Mamdani's mayoralty, as Trump and his allies are openly threatening. They want to make an example of Mandani. They want to destroy democracy in the US. Whether they succeed, well, that's up to the US people themselves. Now, finally, given we are talking about the US, Dick Cheney, the former vice president of the United States, who served under George W. Bush, has just died. This is a tragedy. It's a tragedy because Dick Cheney was a murderous war criminal who, through his death, has cheated justice. Cheney was one of the architects of the invasion of Iraq, as well as the war in Afghanistan and the so-called war on terror. A study by Brown University estimated that around 4.5 million people were killed in the post-9/11 wars. That includes through violence directly, as well as economic collapse and food insecurity, the destruction of public services, health services, infrastructure, environmental contamination. We could go on. Iraq itself, where I visited a few weeks ago, was plunged into blood and chaos and still suffers the terrible consequences today. Dick Cheney escaped justice, but let this be a lesson for us all. Let's make sure that the war criminals of today cannot cheat death. Only by achieving justice for these crimes of historic proportions can we stop the horrors of tomorrow. Please like and subscribe. Help us take on the pro-genocide, pro-corporate media, a media which is run by the elites in the interest of the elites. At patreon.com/Jones patreon.com/OwenJones84. You enable us to reach millions of people, which we do. We reach millions of people every month across each of the different platforms that we use. When I finish my book, The Fall of the West, we will expand our operations. I keep saying that. But yeah, leave your comments, press like, subscribe, share the video. I'll speak to you in a bit.